I'm quite glad that many of you have gotten your own one, the one that you pre-ordered. I know the waiting time has been very long, and are you still waiting, and how long did you have to wait for the camera? Please let us know in the comments down below. I know this because there's been a lot of announcements in different forums and different Facebook groups that finally I got mine and the first shots they shown, and that's really good that they finally were able to deliver the cameras. I know the reason is that there's been a lot of shortage of components, and that's a real pity. But I'm glad that most of you have gotten the camera already. And in this video I'm going to give you 5 tips and tricks how to use it, or some little things that you might have not noticed, and some of them even work in different Olympus cameras. Hi, it's Peter here, and let's get right into the business. The camera goes to MyMenu when you press the menu button. I've set MyMenu so that there are a lot of those features that I use the most are in MyMenu, so it's really easy to access them. Even though the new menu system on all-in-one is quite good, it's still sometimes hard to find your favorite features, and that's why I have set them to MyMenu. To access that quickly is to set the camera so that when you press the menu button it will go straight to MyMenu, and this is how to do it. AutoISO and the slowest shutter speed. AutoISO is very handy if you need to go, in and out and, change the ISO, because if you go indoors it's dark and then you go outdoors it's really light. Then AutoISO is really handy way of handling that problem, so you don't have to change it manually. But then, when does the ISO start to rise up? There is a way that you can control that. You can set the slowest shutter speeds until the ISO will start to get higher. So I've set it to 1/20th of a second. If I need a longer shutter speed, it won't go longer, it will start to rise up the ISO. And I think that's a very handy way of controlling that, because 1/20th of a second in most cases is totally fine. The IBIS is so good. But of course, if there is a lot of movement and you want to freeze the action, then you might have it a bit faster. But that's up to you. But it's a handy way of controlling how the AutoISO works. And here is how to set the AutoISO slowest shutter speed. Exposure shift. Many of us use ETTR, which is exposed to the right, so that the image looks as bright as possible without clipping the highlights. And the way we use it, or at least I use it, is that I use the exposure compensation, and in most cases I need to make the image brighter than the camera tells me to. And there, why not have the exposure shift on, let's say like +1? Then you already have a good starting point, +1 on the exposure, and you might not even need to make the exposure compensation. The camera does it for you. That's something to explore. It can be half a stop or 1 stop, it depends your way of shooting, but that's a handy feature that you might want to try if you use ETTR, which I sincerely recommend. And here is how to set it. F and lever button to choose video. You can set the F and lever button in different ways, or it's the switch actually. One way of doing is to set it so that it will switch between stills and video. And that's a very handy thing if you need to shoot both in a situation. Let's say you're traveling and you want to take some still images and then you want to make some small video about your travel. And then just setting this to mode 3, you can switch back and forth with stills and photography, stills and videography, of course. And what's good about this is also that when you switch, it will switch to the video settings that you had. Even the shutter speed and everything else will be set according to video shooting. And that's a really powerful way of switching between video and stills. And here is how to set it up. And like always, there will be an extra tip after the last tip. And then I want to advertise something. If you want to have your basic settings for your OM1, you can have more information from there, and also you can buy them. But information from that link, the link will be also in the description of this video. If you buy them, it will support my channel. But like I always say, setting the camera like you want to set it, it's also a good thing to do it yourself. Then you'll learn more about the camera. But the quicker way is to get those settings that I have to offer. But let's continue. Custom modes, reset or hold. I have set quite a few different shooting settings for my custom modes. And if I need to change something when I have it on custom mode, I can choose to reset that setting to the original one that was saved in the custom mode, or if I want, I can also hold that, and so that the camera will save that setting and change that custom settings automatically, so you don't have to save it again if you don't want to. And this is a good way if you change your habits and find something different settings works best. Then you might want to have this on hold. But if you want to keep the original custom settings, then you might want to have this on reset. You can do it on every different custom settings differently. So let's say that you want to C1 to hold, and then on C2 you want to reset. That's up to you. And here is the way to do it. And then the extra tip, and that is to have extra custom modes in your phone. This is really good way of storing more than 4 custom modes, because the camera has only 4 custom modes which you can access from the mode dial. But if you need more, then you can store them in your phone using the OM Image Share app and upload them if you want. And don't forget, you can also rename the settings that you have stored on your phone, so you know what it is. It's a really handy way of changing the settings or having more custom settings. And when you're using your phone, you can do it on the go when you're photographing. It works also on the computer, so you can do it beforehand if you need some special settings that you already know when you go out shooting. And here is the video about my OM1 best settings, and there are also information about those settings that I'm selling. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.